getting underway here. Let's see what we've got in store.
All right.
So we have the town of Rauru right away, which is one of our free spell towns. All 4 players, of course, diving right on in. We have the life spell right off the bat. Rose City Saint, our only racer to not up A there. And we have Palace 5, pretty easily available on the West Continent. Wolf is in Medicine Cave. Meanwhile, Rose City Saint and Zarnax have found Heart Container Cave. Both opting to take a quick life level as Thurwolf takes a death. We have the Hammer in Heart Container Cave. Thurwolf finds a heart container in Medicine Cave. J. Bradley looks like he is on the grass tile, but I did miss the item. Looks like he's going to hop right on into Palace 1. RCS and Zarnax both picking up a heart container. While Willard's continuing through Palace 1 looking for the item, but takes a death, and Thurwolf comes across the grass tile and has the magic key. Saint, our only player not currently in 1, continuing to search the overworld for items. Usually an effective strategy. We'll see if it works out for him. I find it's usually worth at least diving into 1, especially if you've got the magic key. I did not see if Zarnax had it. I'm guessing not, since he's in the room looking for a key. Rose City Saint picking up the magic key for himself. Meanwhile, Willard J. Bradley taking on Horsehead. Takes him on down. We're going to have a very quick gem place. Not that quick, as he's going to go grab some experience before turning in the gem. Zarnax letting the key fall into the lava, so he must have picked up the magic key. Getting quite the tour of Palace 1 here. Meanwhile, Rose City Saint up on the overworld. Getting a nice tour of that as well. Thurwolf and Willard J. Bradley in the exact same room. Well, now one room apart. RCS comes into P-Bag Cave. He'll be picking up an item in there, as well as an attack level. Zarnax takes down Horsehead as Thurwolf comes against him. We have a magic container in P-Bag Cave. Still early, but not quite what they'd be hoping to find. So we have not seen Magic Container Cave or Trophy Cave just yet. Thurwolf placing our first gem at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Rose City Saint finding the Great Palace. We found all 3 palaces on the West Continent now. Does find the raft tile, but we have not found the raft yet, so it's just merely information for him at this point. Showing why he's one of our better players against those Dyers there, as Willard J. Bradley picks up the item in Palace 1. Which was a magic container. J. Bradley and Thurwolf have been taking almost the exact same route, with just a couple deviations, and they are at the exact same point right now. As Rose City Saint starts looking around in Death Mountain, hoping to find an early hammer cave. Zarnax, Willard, and Thurwolf all in Magic Container Cave, picking up their items there. We have the Lost Kid, which can of course be turned into Darunia for a spell. Rose City Saint not far behind. Answer in chat, RCS has not beaten one yet. He He's still exploring the overworld. Players at this point really got to be starting to think that Death Mountain's probably the play, as we have not found the raft. There is the chance that it is in either Palace 5, which would not be fun to dive at this point, and they have not found Trophy Cave yet. Finds a bit of an unfortunate dead end and a cave linked to just about absolutely nothing, but that could potentially be Trophy Cave, meaning we may need the boots for this seed. And Rose City Saint does find Trophy Cave, so that will not be the case. And there's the raft. Next comes across Bagu, which will of course let him pass through Saria if he finds either end, which Rose City Saint has just entered the east end of. He will be claiming a more or less free spell, just got to bring the mirror to the lady to claim it. Second free spell on the Western continent. It's this spell. And Saria's west end is right next to Saria's east end, so Bagu will not be an issue. Willard finding the town of Nido, but you need the medicine to claim the spell. You can also get an upstab when you have the fairy spell or the jump spell. Rose City Saint at the same time finds it. Quickly up A's. Zarnak's about to get the spell. And Rose City Saint finally decides to dive on into one. At this point, our racers are probably gonna be frantically looking for the glove, which could either potentially be in Death Mountain, Palace 5, or we need to head on east. Zarnak's about to get the raft. Takes the death instead. We'll go at it again. Dyer is giving Willard a bit of trouble. They're tough cookies there. Zarnax finds Rudo, which is of course Trophy Town. So I suspect our players will be heading east fairly shortly in search of the glove. Clearly not wanting to dive into 5 if they can avoid it at these low levels. As Zarnax does exactly that. Rose City Saint coming upon Horsehead as Thurwolf grabs the spell. Zarnax immediately finds Palace 4 on east. Gets into a fairly rough encounter. So all of our players having placed 1 gem at this point. Zarnax finding one of the desert tiles, but not the desert tile with the item. Willard will be checking out Death Mountain. We have not seen either item there, but with the hammer, it's probably a good idea to be looking. Meanwhile, Zarnax comes across New Kasuto, and only 5 magic containers required, so he will be picking up 1 item. He does have the spell, could potentially get the second. I did not see if he can cast it yet. Claims a heart container. Of course, in New Kasuto, we also have a free spell. Dyer's really giving Thurwolf a bit of a problem. We have the shield spell in New Kasuto. City Saint heading to the east, checking out to see Palace 4. Quick update to reset his lives. And Zarnax can in fact cast spell, so he will be claiming that second item. Which is a magic container. City Saint not far behind him, claiming the first item now. Thurwolf opting to go look for the item in 5. Does help that 5 is not in a situation, or cannot be in a situation where it's glove blocked. Zarnax picking up the fire spell, which with the flag set we have tonight is linked to another spell. Let's see if he tests that. He does in fact test it. Has no visible effect that I saw. Zarnax will be going to turn in the kid for the spell in Darunia. Wolf taking a quick death in 5. Willard's still looking around Death Mountain. Our Darunia spell, it is Thunder tonight, so the kid is required, but all of our racers have already claimed it, so that should not be an issue. They're still looking for the Fairy spell, high likelihood of that being required. The Reflect spell, of course, being required to beat Karok in Palace 4, and they are still looking for the glove. The City Saint, also in Darunia, claiming the Thunder spell himself. Zarnax deciding to hop on into Palace 4, see if he can dig the item out of there. Willard taking an unfortunate game over in Death Mountain. Does find Medicine Cave, which we know is going to be a heart container. Probably not what he was hoping to find. City Saint casting fire real quick to test what it's linked to, and still no visible effect. Wolf killing that bubble, hoping to get enough experience to claim a level up, I believe. He's just shy. But we'll go ahead and kill another one. Zarnax is in the item room in Palace 4. And we have a heart container. Let's see, being very generous with the containers thus far. Not so generous with the glove. City Saint digging out a candle from the first teabag cave on the East Continent. Dripper enemy tonight is just a Mew. Looked like it was only worth 5 experience, so very unimpressive. Willard will be picking up his ramp here. And he does have the hammer as well, but gets bopped into some lava. And Thurwolf finding the item in 5. Zarnax comes across Karok, and fire is linked to reflect. And I was unfortunately busy watching the Karok fight and missed what the item in 5 is. Zarnax placing his second gem. It's a life level out of it. Thurwolf coming across Guma. Will not be a fun fight at attack 4. City Saint still exploring the East Continent, looking to see what he can find. Does find the water tile, but lacking the boots, cannot claim the item there. The wolf takes down Boss Guma. Will be placing his second gem in Palace 5 here. City Saint in the town of Naburu, another free spell. And we have the jump spell. That will enable Rose City Saint to go claim upstab and downstab if he so chooses. Finishing up in New Kasuto, claiming all he can there. We have the medicine on the desert tile. Both Zarnax and Rose claiming that. So it must have been the boots in 5 as Thurwolf is walking around on the water there. That'll grant him a lot of easy movement. City Saint did essentially beeline to Nito to pick up down stab. And of course turn in the medicine for the spell there. Next, diving into 3 or 6. I want to say 6, but I may be wrong. And yes, it is Palace 6. So Reflect is in Mito, which means we do need the trophy to claim the fairy spell. Zarnax having a little bit of trouble with Rebanak, not having down stab, but still putting up quite a good fight. Jake Bradley in Valley of Death doing an encounter skip to avoid the potentially disastrous encounters. Hops on into Palace 2. And decides not to go deep. Zarnax finally knocks Rebanak off his horse, but does get killed in the ground phase of the fight. Impressive that he got that far, honestly. That is no fun without Dan stab. Thurwolf navigating his way through this mess of a Death Mountain. We have not seen Hammer Cave nor the item in Spectacle Rock yet. Picking up his torch. and decides to dive into 5, which we know has the boots. And you can see why the boots are so helpful in Death Mountain, as the wolf is just walking along that east side, giving him access to a lot of caves. Strategy there is generally to just check as many caves as you can and find Hammer Cave, which is pretty easily recognizable even without Candle. Rose picking up a magic container as Zarnax comes across Barba. The wolf does come across Spectacle Rock. He must have already entered that, and I did unfortunately miss it. Rose City Saint deciding to dive on into Palace 4. I believe he would suspect at this point that fire is linked to Reflect, but definitely wants to find the item either way. To a dead end. The wolf takes down Barba. And he'll be placing his 3rd gem in Palace 6 here very shortly. Coming across the second of, I believe, 3 dead ends in Palace 4 on the right side there. And that should have been the 3rd of them. And yes, Rose City Saint will be going to fight Karok. The wolf still looking for Hammer Cave. Been very elusive so far. Maybe looking at a golden cave situation, meaning he has to pick exactly the right cave and only one of them will lead to it. Getting shredded by the myriad of enemies there. Like at least 3 gorillas. Pick up A for RCS. Willard noping on out of 5. Frankly, I don't blame him. This seat has not been generous with the experience. It's like Willard J. Bradley has dove back into 1. My guess would be he's looking for the item. I don't believe he got it the first time through. Rose places his gem in 4. Zarnax also heading to Death Mountain. It is just a teabag spectacle rock. Definitely not what they wanted to see. So we are quickly running out of options on where that glove could be hidden. We still have Palace 2 and 3 as possibilities. 2 spots on Maze Island, which we have not yet seen. Maybe boots required to get there. And Hammer Cave. City Saint does find Maze Island, so boots are not required. He also finds the River Devil, so this may be a flute seed, because we did see a palace up there. We do have Palace 3 on Maze Island. I guess Willard had not placed the gem in 1 just yet. And kind of makes sense why. Would have been a waste of experience to place it earlier. 1's usually not that difficult to get through. Now, I did not see if Willard had found Hammer Cave or if he game overed. Rose City Saint finding the Kids Cave, which has just a red jar. This is where the panic starts setting in. Must have found the other item. I don't think he would have up-aid without having found it. But again, I did miss that as well. Zarnax getting down stab, which I'm willing to bet he was wishing he had when he was in Palace 6. Chat telling me that it was Trophy on Maze Island. So he will be getting the fairy spell from Rudo. So Willard going into Palace 4. Can fully expect him to try and find the item, which we know is just a heart container. Meanwhile, Rose City Saint beginning to tackle Death Mountain. Zarnax picking up the magic container from 1. Imagine all our runners are getting pretty frustrated at this point looking for that glove. I don't believe we've seen Hammer Cave. The item's in 2, 3, or 6, so it has to be in one of those locations. Zarnax hopping into 5. They'll be finding the boots fairly shortly. Willard desperately fighting for experience, get what levels he can. Rose has found Hammer Cave. No, he hasn't. And now he has. And it was in fact a Golden Cave situation. Zarnax being very aggressive with Guma. Rose coming up on the item in Hammer Cave. And he does find the glove at long last. Zarnax having already placed his 4th gem in Palace 5 there. Willard placing his 2nd gem in 4. Though Rose is technically 2 gems behind, he will be quickly making up time here as he is in go mode. Wolf finally getting the raft. And RCS again showing his skill, quickly dispatching Guma. Zarnax coming across Helmet Head in 2 very quickly. Takes him down without an issue. Zarnax trying to get that encounter skip, not wanting to deal with the lava cave tile encounter, rather. Giving Rose City Saint a high five as they pass each other. And we do have a quick update on the race. Yunos has taken 1st place with a time of 54 minutes and 55 seconds. RCS taking on Helmet Head there, placing gem in 2. Wolf picking up the shield spell. It's a heart and magic container as well. City Saint getting ready to tackle 6 as Zarnax re-enters 4, does a quick up A to reset his lives, and carries on. Lord J. Bradley also tackling 6. Thunderwolf claims the Thunder spell. So as a quick recap, we did finally find the glove in Hammer Cave. We had the boots in Palace 5. Hammer was in Heart Cave, which allowed you to get into Trophy Cave to claim the raft. On Maze Island we had the trophy and a red jar. Candle and magic container were the pea bag items on East. We had the medicine on the desert tile. Either harder magic containers in 1-4 medicine cave and new Kasudos, 2 items. As of now, Rose City Saint is the only one with the glove. Willard comes across Barba pretty quickly. He's knocked into the lava. Zarnax is going to be looking in the item for the item in 3, which we have not yet seen, but it can only be the flute or the final heart container. Or, of course, a tea bag or red jar, or 1-up. Willard placing the gem in 6. Wolf at least making use of the red jar for 150 experience points by casting Thunder. The Scorpion there. Not mistaken, Rose City Saints only a couple screens away from Barba, and he'll have just one more gem to place, and he'll be onto Maze Island. While all our other players still need to go back into Death Mountain to find that glove. Masterful job of taking down Barba. All of our runners do know that Yunos has taken first with a incredible time, so I gotta wonder how it's affecting their thought process and what they're doing. Zarnox diving back into 5. He'll be finding those boots. And Rose entering 3. Be placing this final gem here in the next couple minutes. Their wolf comes up on 4, decides he'll dive in. Don't know if he knows that fire is linked to reflect. Down goes Rebanak. Rose will be placing his final gem and then quick up A away from the Great Palace. Wolf picking up the heart container from 4. Wheeler J. Bradley fighting Guma here in 5. And Zarnax finding the boots. Baze gets out of there. Does take down Guma, but I suspect he's going to be looking for the items, which is the right move to do, so we know the boots. I'll be going back to place the gem. Just peeking up this elevator. It's quite the encounter in the Great Palace there. Bird Knights and Spicy Chickens are never a good time, especially when there's a dead end right afterward. Of course, you throw those trollfish into the mix, and it just makes it all that much better. Bob from the Bird Knight since rose into the lava. Or he may have done it intentionally to refill his magic. I did not see if he was in good shape on magic there. At any rate, comes to a forced drop. Werewolf knocks out Karok, replacing his gem in 4. Now Rose comes across a 50-50 drop situation, opts to take the right side, which leads him to the top of the room he dropped down just a moment ago. Which loops him back around to the 50-50 drops. He will take the first drop this time. Across another elevator room. So he does have still quite a few options on which way to be going. Zarnax diving back into 2 to look for the item, which I don't believe we've seen, but it will not progress him. RCS hoping for a magic refill, which he does get. He'll top off his life as well. Take a King Bot to the face. As he comes across another forced drop, he'll back out and head down the elevator, and take the other room. Still no Thunderbird for Rose. He's explored about, I'd say, 2/3 of the Great Palace at this point. So he Should be getting close. We have the Cross and Palace 2. Imagine Zarnax is doubly unhappy about that, because if you're going to find the cross, you'll want to find it early, and not right at the end here. And there's Thunderbird for Rose. Zarnax finally diving back into Death Mountain. Hopefully he can find that glove quickly. Showing some amazing skill against Thunderbird here. Only having attack 5, it's quite a slog. He's pretty quickly whittling him down. Thorwolf grabbing the magic container from New Kasuto. There is Dark Link for Rose. And Rose City Saint finishing up with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 32 seconds. Wolf diving into 2. Nice shade of bubblegum pink on his screen. And Zarnax finding Hammer Cave. Finally going to get his glove and be able to finish up shortly. As we do have a pretty tight race between Willard and Thorwolf. Got the exact same items, except Willard does have the trophy and therefore the fairy spell. But they also have the exact same palaces completed. We'll have Rose joining us for an interview here momentarily. Wolf will be picking up the cross.
Hello?
Hey! So, good game. Good job getting second place there.
Oh, thank you. That was really a pretty good seat, except for one minor thing. That should be pretty obvious what that is, right?
Yep.
I can't believe Yunos's finish. He finished in just under 55 minutes, which is unbelievable. He obviously went straight into Death Mountain.
Yep. We have Zarnax having just picked up the glove not too long ago. Thurwolf and Willard still have not gotten it.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone who hasn't gotten it. That was to have it in Hammer Cave is bad enough. That's not one of the first places you want to look, but to have access, only one way into that Hammer Cave, only just some one-off cave somewhere, is really, really terrible. That can be an all-day affair if you don't get lucky.
Yeah, I mean, you're uniquely qualified to know my thoughts on required items in Death Mountain.
Yeah, I know. There's like a direct correlation between my record and required items in Death Mountain.
So, off screen, we did have Jay Coper finish up a few minutes ago. Official SRL time 1 hour 24 minutes 22 seconds.
Yeah, GG to him. This seed is all about that glove. That's basically the only determining factor. Of the guys that were on stream, was I the first one to find the glove? I imagine.
Yeah, like I said, Zarnax just found it a few minutes ago,
Yep.
and Willard and Thurwolf have not found it.
Oh yeah, thank you. I forgot those were the other two on the stream. I'm just about to log in right now and check it out.
So Zarnax just placed his final gem. Do you have any other thoughts on this seed besides,
Yeah,
glove?
this seed did one of the common things that I don't like, and that's it gives you the magic key early and then withholds fairy from you. I find that to be annoying. I worry when I don't have fairy. Having fairy just makes everything go so much smoother. I'm not 100% certain if fairy was required for Palace 6 or not. I think you had to go through the narrow fairy drop through area, but you landed on its ceiling and could ceiling walk through it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I don't. So even though I think it was kind of supposed to be required, you could probably finish without it. I know the large lava room that you have to ferry across. I came across it and it was not on the required path.
Right.
So yeah, I was relieved when I made my way finally to Maze Island. I was just praying for glove or boots at that time, but seeing the trophy was a big relief too. Other than that, the experience was generous enough, especially in Death Mountain. I spent just enough time in Death Mountain to grab a couple levels. I found that helpful.
Yeah, the experience in Death Mountain seemed good, but from what I saw, it didn't look that good for most of the rest of the seed. Everyone does have fairly low levels at this point.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't scope out any of the drippers. If I saw one, I don't remember what it was at all.
It was just a 5-point muse, so you missed pretty much absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was a seed maybe, I don't know, a month or two ago that for whatever reason I forget now. Ryan 7 had to grind tin suits at 3 points apiece in order to level up to cast something. That hearing about 5-point muse and a dripper just reminded me of that for some silly reason.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of those seeds that you have to level up. I remember a couple that you had to get to Magic 5 before you could really do much of anything, so you could ferry across Saria.
Yes, I remember in particular a race with Dig Shake, where the game gave you Fairy, and the only thing you could do right out of the chute was to tackle Palace 6, and the first room in was the Fairy room, the long lava room, and you had to grind to Magic 5 to cast it. I mean, that was a ridiculous thing to have to do to start a game. Silly.
Yeah, but that is the beauty of the randomizer, is you never quite know if you're going to get that or just something completely open that you can beat in less than an hour.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this game so addictive. That's why, I can't get enough of it, is because every seed, even the easy ones, almost all of them, still have one cruel trick they play on you, And if you play enough, you'll see most of them, but there always seems to be a new insane twist just about every time out. It's really a fun logic puzzle, in addition to being a good combat heavy game too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We see Zarnax now make his way into GP. He's deciding to go left right out of the chute. He must feel as though he's further behind than he wants to be anyway.
Yeah, that would be my thoughts as well.
That's a common strat for people who are afraid they've wasted too much time earlier in the game.
Just hoping that it's a required left, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it could serve as a big shortcut, but that's not a strat I think I've ever employed. I just don't have the stomach for it. I'm probably one of the most traditional runners there is. I try to stick to meta almost, as much, like almost 100% of the time. You'll very rarely see me do something really unorthodox. If an unorthodox method is required to get ahead, I'm probably not going to be ahead.
Yeah, but the strategy seems to be working for you. You consistently place top 3.
Yeah, thank you. I am consistent because I have a consistent meta that I use. I do recommend sticking to it. Of course, you get guys like Jackamus out here who he makes very unorthodox plays all the time and constantly finishes in first place with just jaw-dropping times. We saw Unos have a jaw-dropping time in this race here too. So it just goes to show sometimes being unorthodox can really pay off.
Yeah, definitely. I remember a couple seeds where I randomly decided to hop into Death Mountain early, and it did pay off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't make up the rest of the time.
As long as you know that that's going to be like a bit of a gamble situation, if you're comfortable with that, then do it. Especially, it doesn't hurt to poke your head into the caves in the immediate area too. Once you've reached every cave that you can readily walk to, then you have a decision to make. Do I want to start diving through a cave and see if I can find a new area? At that point, if it's early in the game, I tend to say no, thank you. Unless if I have hammer and boots, that might make it a different story. That makes Death Mountain a much friendlier place. Can you tell us where the boots were in this seed? I never came across them, but everyone else has them.
They were in Palace 5.
Okay, yeah. Palace 5 was really short. That must have been part of everyone's glove hunt, I would imagine. I just walked a few rooms right, and I think stumbled right into Guma.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Is everyone was looking for glove and found them.
This was not a terribly friendly GP, although I see Zarnax, I believe, is on the right track. Yeah, he definitely
down in
is.
Jackamus room, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I went to the Jackamus room. I first went down because it's a drop if you go directly right. And so I was afraid of looping, so I went down through a waffle room into a dead end. We see
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Zarnax is deciding to do this. He's waffling, and he is going to take the drop. So he will be very pleased with what he finds on the other end of this drop.
Another thing that's striking me about this seed is how spread out the finishes have been. We still only have 3 people finished.
Yeah, absolutely. And this this glove location with that one-off cave in Death Mountain will absolutely do that. You have a guy like Yunos who is remarkably skilled, and he made the right gamble early. Yes, he obliterated the seed, and then of course you can have even good players, even very, very good players, who just due to bad luck in Death Mountain are not going to come across that glove for a very, very long time, and you can go 2+ hours easy in a heartbeat with a location like that. So, yeah, that is definitely a huge game changer.
Yeah, we do have Zarnax fighting Thunderbird.
I was very glad I had a spare life when fighting Thunderbird because I had one bar of health. He surely would have killed me if I took a single hit. At the same time, we have Thurwolf fighting Barba. That was maybe the second, aside from the location of the glove, just Palace 6 in general, it had tricks, so this was my second least favorite part of the seed, the Palace 6 experience.
Yeah, in my experience, Palace 6 is very rarely, a high point of the seed.
You have to keep good track of the drops and the drop landings. That really helps. Otherwise, you can loop pretty badly, pretty consistently to avoid being in an endless loop. I recommend tracking the drops and drop landing spots. That's what separates Palace 6 from other palaces.
And we did have Kulain take 4th place just a minute ago. 1 hour, 36 minutes, 19 seconds.
Absolutely, and Zarnax looking to be just behind him.
Official time, 1 hour, 37 minutes, 20 seconds.
And GG to Zarnax. Are we correct that Willard and Thurwolf neither have the glove right now?
Right.
Okay, so this will be interesting to see how this plays out. How many locations they have left before they tell themselves, I have to do Death Mountain.
Yeah, we've got Thurwolf looking for the item in 6, which I don't believe anyone has gotten. And he nopes on out of there. So I do believe everyone did go into Death Mountain and just could not find that magical golden cave, so decided to nope out of there.
It was a bad one. I checked the caves in the starting area when I first went in there, like very early in the game, and didn't see anything, so I left. When I went back a second time, I found a cave that took me to a whole nother large area that had nothing. When I found myself in a third area, again, still nothing, and then just thankfully within that third area, the first cave that I decided to go all the way through happened to lead to the magic cave. So that was just pure luck. I've been in similar situations where I have just been absolutely confounded and wasted, maybe 20 minutes or more just looking for the, magical entrance to Hammer Cave. That is, in my opinion, the cruelest thing the game can do to you is an essential item in a one-off location in Death Mountain.
Yep, I remember a similar situation, just one cave leading to the Hammer Cave. I actually had to spend a good 45 minutes mapping out Death Mountain because I was just so stubborn. I was gonna finish the seed.
Yeah, and there's nothing else you can do. It's so terrible because one of the things about Death Mountain is that almost all the caves have another cave that look very similar, like a twin, if you will. So you have to pay very close attention to contextual clues like the shape of the ceiling in a given room or the enemy set that's in a room. That can help you tell two similar rooms apart. That also, by the way, helps when trying to distinguish between pass-through caves on the eastern continent.
Yeah, that's probably my next goal, is to spend some time just taking note of the little subtle differences in all the Death Mountain and the pass-through caves. Willard upping. Gonna see if he's gonna...
Willard is heading back toward the right direction now. And he chose to up an A. I don't know if I wasn't paying close enough attention to if he has already fought Barba or not. It was just item hunting, but I believe you needed that Canadian hole for access to Barba.
I'm pretty sure he did beat Barba, was looking for the item.
Okay, he was doing some item hunting,
no.
okay.
But I could be wrong. I know Thurwolf did the same thing, and I might be thinking of that.
Speaking of Thurwolf, we have him hunting around Death Mountain now. I assume he must have already gone into Spectacle Rock to find the useless P-Bag, because he's heading in the opposite direction of Spectacle Rock. So he is now going to do some cave diving and hope to get lucky. This is not a good feeling. This is not a good position to be in. I know from experience. I got very lucky tonight. I have had many where I did not get so lucky.
Yeah, just like you said, that glove is the key, and however fast you can get it gives you that big of an advantage.
I actually think this cave that Thurwolf went through is with the red diorite. I recognize that. That's the one that I used to get to the quote-unquote third area of Death Mountain. So he will at least be... Okay, he is now in the correct area. Yes, and I think he's going to have it. If he goes straight across and does not take this elevator, he is going to be very happy. Oh, no. Okay, he's turning around.
Popped out, turns around, and I do have him.
He'll be very happy now.
Perfect timing for a red jar. And of course, I am probably about 6 to 10 seconds ahead of you on stream, so I'll try to.
Let me refresh, and maybe we can fix that. Okay, I have him just entering the lava pit room.
He is picking up the glove on mine.
Okay, and so with that, Thurwolf will be on his way to annihilating the rest of the seed, presumably. No reason to believe now that he wouldn't make short order of everything in front of him.
I do believe Willard J. Bradley is heading back to Death Mountain himself.
I wonder, was there another Death Mountain entrance that would have led to more convenient access? I only came across the one in my travels, just that one that was just south of Start.
I do not believe the other one was any easier. I don't specifically remember seeing it, though, so that's...
I did notice the Western Continent had a cave that was completely water-blocked. You could only access it from the coast with boots, and that might have been the other Death Mountain entrance for all I know. Oh, Kulain has information for us in chat about the other Death Mountain entrance.
Yes.
It sounds like he agrees with my assessment of it.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was beginning to think maybe it was a boots required and that was going to be Trophy Cave, but I hadn't taken note of it being hammer blocked just yet. But yes, I do remember seeing the little 3 or 4 tile island.
Just a couple of moments ago on Willard's screen, I happened to notice he took a grass encounter that had the red divers on both sides. That was a lot of fun at the very beginning, before downstab, and before you have thunder, to just have red divers on both sides with other enemies too. They were worth 200 points if you could manage to fight them off, but that was garbage.
And that entrance into Death Mountain is as useless as the area around it.
Absolutely.
Wolf, I think, is not too far from Rebenak. And Willard does get into Death Mountain.
All right, and here we have Thurwolf just about to fight Rebenek and place his 5th gem. The palace he has yet to tackle is 2. That would have been my next play if I had run into bad luck in Death Mountain and unable to find Hammer Cave. That would have been my next play, 2. The item there can be glove block, so it's a little risky, but it's also much smaller than 5, which would be my only other alternative. Going into 3 or 6 without the glove is usually a lost cause. But interestingly, I don't know if you saw this, Duster. We ran a seed just last night where you had to get, it was required that you get the items out of 3 and 6 before the glove was available. It was pretty insane.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the seed, but I did read about it in Discord.
Yeah, it was really something. The glove was on the raft tile, which we know is in the east, and you had the raft in 3 and the boots in 6. So go figure. We see Willard here ducking in and out of caves here in Death Mountain, just waiting for those pillars of Hammer Cave to pop up on the screen.
Yeah, Thurwolf has placed the gems in 2 and 3, and in
oh, okay.
Himself.
Oh, my apologies. I was confused about Thurwolf's status.
Yeah, as I was saying last week, it's tough enough to watch your own tracker at times, let alone watching four, so it's real easy to miss things.
Oh yeah, no kidding. No need to apologize for that. That's very understandable. If anyone out there watching thinks that tracking sounds fun, we could always use help tracking these Z2 races on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. It's a great way to learn about the game. Highly recommended.
It's just a great way to be part of the community as well.
Absolutely, there are a lot of fans. I guess this game is intimidating for a lot of people, and so if you'd rather not play, if you're uncomfortable playing, offering to help on commentary or tracking is greatly appreciated. A lot of fun, and like Duster said, it's great to be part of the community.
Most of you probably know at this point, but that's the main reason I choose to commentate is I'm just not comfortable with my skill level during these weekly races, so it's just a great opportunity for me to watch and take note of everything.
When you see Unos do a seed like this in 55 minutes, it makes everyone uncomfortable with their skill level, I have to say.
And we did have Trails take 6th place a moment ago, 1 hour 49 minutes 13 seconds.
Yeah, Trails definitely one of our up-and-coming new players. He is a student of the game, and he will play morning, noon, and night.
Definitely, really cool person. He hops in when I'm playing, gives me encouragement, and I try to return the favor when I can. It's just I unfortunately don't have as much time to watch as I used to, and certainly not enough time to play.
The lag that Thurwolf is experiencing right now is absolutely mind-numbing. Nothing like a room full of spicy chickens and or bird nights to slow that engine to a grinding halt. It's hard to even think straight when you're experiencing that much lag.
Noticed you had gone through there and then the room following and hit that dead end, and I was commenting on how just much more painful that makes it.
It makes it infinitely more painful, and we see Thurwolf with the natural human response there, which is to up an A. I can't think of anyone who would say, let's hike back through that one the long way.
I mean, that much lag, it's probably quicker to just go back, even if you just need to get through those 2 rooms, no matter where in the GP they are.
And Willard finally finding Hammer Cave. You can tell by how jumpy Link is on screen. He's very excited.
Yep, at this point, he definitely knows that's what it is.
I've had other races where you find similar, nearly impossible to find hammer caves that are just one-off caves, and you find it just by fluke, and you're so excited, you go down there, you can't wait for it to be a crucial item so that everyone else is behind you, and it's just a pea bag, and that's a uniquely bad feeling too. I guess that's like a Z2R version of a first world problem, though.
Taking a lot of frustration out on that glove.
I won't tell you what that reminds me of. It's not G-rated, so I'm not going to go there.
Just call that a celebratory dance there.
Willard showing off the ability to mash the down stab. Handy in combat, not tremendously handy for acquiring the glove, but
yeah, he should be pretty quick to get to the GP from here on out now. If I'm not mistaken, Thurwolf coming up on Thunderbird here momentarily. Assuming he chooses the right move here. A little bit torn, but does decide to go back to the Eon drop. Willard should be coming up on Rebanak here in just a moment himself. Thurwolf heading right in the Jackamus room. Not excited about a drop, but decides to go back and take it anyway.
yeah, the later you are in a GP, the less you want to drop, but he's choosing correctly.
Willard just missing the attack on Rebanak to get him in the corner, but he does do the ground phase pretty well.
Those jackhammer cheese strats are so wonderful for fighting Rebanak. I mean, he was supposed to be one of the trickier parts of the game, but you can reduce him to a joke if you just know where to stand.
I always seem to miss that spot just by a little bit and can't quite do it and have to fight him the hard way, so I've gotten decent at doing that at least.
It's good to practice pushing him back into the sweet spot, too, once you've knocked him off the horse. Just in case he doesn't cooperate the first time around, it's good to practice pushing him toward the edge of the screen and then timing your jump back on his head just so that it aligns with him getting underneath you at the edge of the screen. Sometimes, people will get frustrated and not know how to rebound from him throwing you for a loop, but you can put him back in position and rebound nicely.
Thurwolf coming across Thunderbird. Took an intentional death so he could cast Thunder. Willard going up in Fairy Room. Which, if I remember, we needed to go left there to get to
This-
Thunderbird.
Seems Thurwolf, like most rando players, choose to fight T-Bird without jump. Most of your AK runners like to use jump when they fight T-Bird, but rando players not so much.
Yeah, the two easiest ways to throw me out of any kind of rhythm I may have is have me cast jump or, any sort of lag.
The thing that I fear most when facing T-Bird is taking the first hit, even if you have plenty of life, because that hit just knocks me out of rhythm and inevitably leads to more hits. As long as I keep the jersey clean, it's a quick fight.
We do have Amazing Toaster taking 7th place with a time of 2 hours and 4 seconds.
Yep, we might call that a snipe on Thurwolf here, who's fighting Dark Link and will be finishing any moment.
Right you are. Gives him an official time of 2 hours and 49 minutes. A 45-second difference there.
And as Willard makes his way through the rest of the GP, I'll just harken back to something that Duster alluded to earlier, and that's the disparity in time from first to last in a race like this. Sometimes you have races where first and last are only separated by 15 minutes, but when you have a seed like this where there's one crucial item that's in an incredibly difficult spot to get to, you can have really, really wide margins of difference, and this is one of those seeds, and you just had to be in the right place at the right time.
So that does unfortunately mean Willard will be taking dead last. But with a seed like this, it all depended on when you got that glove, and he unfortunately went to it last.
He has a funny comment in IRC, poking fun at the seed. The funny comments abound in IRC.
Yeah, I'm currently blaming Yunos for hogging the glove.
It's like he got to it first and then hit it in an incredibly good spot of his choosing. The glove was supposed to be free, right in the second cave off the start. Yunos is the one that put it there. I'm assuming his decision to go into Death Mountain when he did was helped by getting early hammer.
That would be my guess. And if he happened to try to dive 5 just because he's Unos and he can handle 5 at an incredibly low level. Getting those boots may have contributed as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know whether or not he had the boots. If I have hammer and boots early, yeah, I'm much more likely to want to tackle Death Mountain. With only the hammer, I said no, thank you.
I know that if I were in this, I'd probably just now be actually heading to Death Mountain. That's just the way my decision-making process would work. And then I'm not going to say lack of skill, but my different ideas would just slow me down.
Well, who could blame you for wanting to go into Death Mountain though, like later than earlier? Many a time we invest time in digging Death Mountain only to find garbage there. So there's no guarantee that tackling it early will yield any kind of result. In fact, I've lost a couple of races because of that, where you decide to do something bold, go into Death Mountain, and there's just nothing there, and everyone else is 15 minutes ahead of you. That's why I advocate taking what the seed gives you first for free, then making a decision about where to invest a little bit of effort.
And Willard, just above the Eon drop, saves himself with Fairy.
Yes. There's a drop room directly after the Eon drop, but we, the viewing audience, know you want the Eon drop for this.
It does look like he's going to take the wrong drop here.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly bad. This wrong drop looped you about 3 or 4 rooms before the Eon. So he's going to take this drop and presumably come back across the Eon drop very shortly. And at that point, logic would suggest that he'll take it.
Yep, he is back at the Eon. Definitely is taking it. We'll be finishing this seat up real shortly.
So Willard making his way toward the Jackamus room, and then he'll have the decision whether to take the drop or to go through the waffle room.
Remind me, was that the incredibly laggy waffle room, or was that a different one?
I don't think the one near the end was the incredibly laggy one.
And he does proceed right.
Hopefully for him, he just decides to take the drop, even though it would be very understandable if he didn't.
And he does turn around, unfortunately.
So this is an annoying room to go through, but not terribly detrimental. He'll run into a dead end at the end of this room and, with a smile on his face, turn around.
Yeah, I'd probably have a smile on my face at that point too, just to keep myself from crying after what the glove had done to me.
I just want to point out, I'm getting some blame in chat, and for anyone who wants to send me hate mail, you have to get in line. Just get in line. There's only one guy in this community who appreciates the seeds that I roll, and everyone else does not want to see me as part of their race for that reason.
I usually enjoy your seeds that you roll. It's just once in a while we get those god awful Death Mountain ones, and
Well, good. I'm glad someone else can appreciate it too. I was alluding to Trails.
oh, absolutely.
He embraces garbage seeds that I, for whatever reason, have a reputation for providing for us, and that's not my intent. Believe me, I don't hate terrible seeds, but just as much as the next guy, I like a really fast seed that lets us show off our chops, show off our skills, and put up a monster time. I don't always want to play these 100% full clear seeds, but for some reason, I guess I roll them more than the average Joe.
Willard will be encountering Thunderbird here real quickly.
Do you happen to know his spare life situation? Does he have 2 lives left, or I hope this isn't his last life? Oh, there we go. This is his last life.
He is just short of casting it.
He is going to be in a really bad position here of having to grind one of these enemies for a jar. I don't recall if this is the waffle room that has the jar.
I don't believe it is. I know we did see one other racer grind a red jar off of the Blue Knight, the Bluebird Knight.
Yeah, it looks like he's retreating to a previous room for a jar.
And he does get that, so that's excellent for him. Just barely tops off his life as well.
He'll have a fair shot at it now. No guarantees. He's going to have a good T-Bird fight, but at least he'll have a fair shot now.
Takes a small bop, gets his pendulum slightly off. We'll see if that actually makes a difference here. He is struggling to fix it a little bit.
When that happens,
just on the side and reset.
Yeah, exactly. Camp out on the right side of the screen and just wait for him to get high above you before heading back toward the middle.
Looks to be in really good shape now.
Yeah, at attack 6, most players are comfortable fighting T-Bird.
And he does take him down. We know Dark Link is just one room away.
All right, let's just hope for no major trolls out of Dark Link.
So as this seed comes to a close, I just want to remind the viewers here to follow everyone involved, everyone on stream, our restreamer Noah Istra. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, and myself on comms.
Yes, thank you for the restream. Thank you for the commentary, Duster. Great as always.
And thank you for joining for, well, essentially co-commentary, but
Yes.
mostly interview.
Always a pleasure, as long as the game wasn't too hard on me.
Right. And he does finish with an official time, 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 53 seconds. That brings this race to a close. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be going over to Fred Coughlin's channel here momentarily. Thanks again for everyone watching.